So as archaeologists, we're looking for those sort of material remains of the past, and there's lots of different ways that we might find those. It might be in standing buildings around us, or we might want to excavate. But if we want to excavate, of course, we need to know where to dig, and that's sometimes quite challenging. And there's lots of different pieces of evidence that you might put together to decide exactly where you're going to place your trenches. It could be that you look at historic maps, or in the case of modern buildings, you might actually have plans of the buildings themselves. You might look at the landscape itself. There might be lumps and bumps in the ground that you can see. That's often particularly clear from aerial photographs, where you can look down, and particularly in evening or morning raking light, you can pick out those shapes in the landscape, the things that are clearly made by people that are not natural, and that will give you signifiers as to where there are perhaps historic remains. The other thing that you can pick up from aerial photographs is seeing crop marks, so where crops grow differently because there are buried walls that are perhaps preventing there being enough nutrition to those particular plants, and they will again show up from the air really, really clearly.
On this particular site, we were lucky that the museum and the Maritime Museum hold the archives to the Mersey Docks and Harbour Board. So we were able to go and have a look at the archives and actually find plans of the buildings that were built on this particular site. In my 30 years of working in archaeology, we've never had the plans, so it was quite an exciting thing to be able to look at the plans and actually work out what buildings may have looked like on the site, but we're never quite certain what you're going to find when you actually open the trenches.
We're fortunate at the Museum of Liverpool that a lot of people are really keen to work with us, and they often bring in things that they found, and that can be a really great pointer to where there are archaeological remains. So whether it's somebody just out for a walk making a chance find, or somebody who's perhaps out metal detecting who is actually kind of searching for hidden remains, they can actually tell us about the things that they found and where they found them. A lot of those finds are recorded through the Portable Antiquities Scheme, and sometimes that gives us a pointer as to where there might be a buried site, there might be other things of interest. And to be able to excavate that and find the wider context of those finds can often reveal a lot about the past in that area.
The site here was redeveloped in the 1980s, and we've had to dig through a lot of hard concrete and other rubble to actually get down. But eventually we started to find the foundation walls of the buildings. When you see them in plan on paper, you don't get the sense of scale of the buildings or the immense value of them.
Looking at maps and exploring the landscape, there are often interesting place names or field names that can give a pointer as to what was there in the past. Sometimes you might have a situation where perhaps a road weaves around a field, and you sort of think, well, why is it going around this flat open space? And then looking at the place name might tell you, well, actually that signifies that there was once a building there was once something in that site. And so those sorts of things, again, you can piece together the different pieces of evidence, and they'll give you pointers as to where the significant historic sites might be.